I was a prisoner for years. Not an ordinary prison. One whose walls were thick with inferiority, and whose bars were strong with fear of criticism. Fellow Toastmasters, Madam Chair, and most welcome guests. The prison was creative insecurity. Creative insecurity. Anybody got an idea what that means? I'll tell you what it's like, and see if you've had this before. You've got a dream, an idea, a goal, and somebody throws blocks in your way, and it kind of lets you air your tires, and you don't think you can do it. You know, the best form, or the best example of non-creative insecurity is our little friend, the bumblebee. The bumblebee has a great big body and little wee wings. And any aerodynamics student can tell you that theoretically the bumblebee can't fly. The wingspan is too small and the body mass is too big. But there's a catch. You see, the bumblebee don't know that. So he can fly. My prison of creative insecurity started when I was a little boy. I think I was under 10. I can't remember exactly, but I've always wanted to be a hockey man. My favorite uncle, my Uncle Ray, he used to sit down with a whole box of beer. He's from Nova Scotia, and he'd drink that whole box of beer during a hockey game. And my understanding is he had a bathtub full of lobsters. And he gets so turned on to watching hockey that sometime I'm asked my mother, can I go on a school night, can I go over there late and watch the hockey game? There was another thing too. There was only 2 people I knew with the colored TV at the time. And it was kind of interesting because one team was red and one team was blue, and it was easier to keep track of people. And I always wanted to be a Montreal Canadien because I liked those red sweaters, and it would make my Uncle Ray so proud to have his first nephew as a hockey man. And I was going to be a hockey man. My mother and Mrs. McConko, a lady who babysat us once in a while when my mother was ill or she had enough of us, brought me to the Sarnia Arena. And things were a little bit different then, and we had to improvise, because I guess in my case, being a Blue Water boy, we didn't have a lot of money, but I wanted to be a hockey boy. I was going to start at the bottom. So they brought me to the Sarnia Arena to join a real team, not playing hockey with unreal hockey sticks and balls or whatever was around. I didn't have a duffel bag, but do you remember those shopping bags, the paper shopping bags with the little ropey handles? Mm-hmm. That was my bag. And I had a big hockey stick, and in the bag I had 2 big Life magazines. They were about this big then, and some elastics to hold them on to my shins because they were my pads. And I had hockey skates that were way too big for me, but they worked all right because Pierre put them on me. They were his brother's skates. They were a little too big, too small for him, and you used to roll up socks or newspapers or whatever it was, and they'd fit just purple. He would tie them on to make sure they fit good, and as soon as my legs start to turn blue, we knew that it was all right, and that was just a trial run anyway. When I could walk again, I would use those skates. And I walked in, and I met the coach. He was bigger than life. This man must have been 10 feet tall, at least in my little eyes, and I looked up like that, and I was scared I was going to fall backwards. He was so big. And I started to take the things out of my bag, and I was so excited, and I told him, I'm going to be a hockey man someday, and I'm going to play on a real team. I'm going to be the best hockey boy you ever had. And he looked at my hockey stick, and he said, son, that's too big. That's a man's stick. And I know it was Jean Paul's brothers. Well, it's too big for you. Well, I could take it home and my dad could cut it down. He said, well, the bottom's too big. It's not the right stick. You've got to have a proper stick. And I I said, well, I have good skates that says CCM on them. He said, that's no good. They're too big. And my Life magazines didn't cut it either. He said, you have to have real pads. I kind of had a feeling that I'm not going to be a hockey boy. And I didn't take out the puck that a guy made for me, taking a hacksaw around a tiger. And thus, I became a prisoner of creative insecurity. I wasn't going to be a hockey boy anymore, just because I didn't have the right stuff. And I gave up too easy, I guess. And what the heck, playing for the Canadians, the Habitats wouldn't have been such a good deal anyway. So, almost 60 years later, I run across something, and I find that in my life, I had too much of this creative insecurity. I could have been here, but somebody said it couldn't. Have you ever felt like that? Some guy that knows it all says, you can't do that, you can't do that. 4 out of 5 marriages end in divorce. What are you doing, stupid? No, that's a creative insecurity that you're denying yourself the ability to go ahead. In Toastmasters, we don't talk about the 10% you got wrong. We take what you got, accept you for what you are, and try and make that better. You shouldn't have creative insecurity here. You were born, and the first thing you did was a sound come out of your mouth. And the sounds got better and better as you go. And so you should come here, work on your creative insecurity, like I did. And I'm telling you, it will change your life. Adam Toastmaster.
Feeling that creative insecurity when I was thinking about running a marathon.